It's business planning season. So at the time that I am recording this video, it is September 2021. If you didn't know, we business plan in September. Why? Because whatever we do today is going to pay dividends 90 days from now. We're in a 90-day sales cycle here in real estate. And so you don't want to be waiting until December or January to figure out the plan, because that means you're not going to be seeing the results until March, right? We want to start sowing seeds today so that we are reaping the benefits in January. And that's what we're going to do in this video, part 1, which is, what is this? Where we are going to be identifying your income and production goals. It is 2022 that we are planning for. You can tell that my brain has been stuck in 2020 for the last 8 months. Now, this is exactly how I'm leading agents in the Market Authority Academy to double, triple, or even quadruple their business. Kind of like Christina here. I checked in with her. She joined with us in December of 2020, and she had a big, audacious goal of generating $80,000, which would have been a really strong year for her as a 6-year agent in 2021. But as of September 2021, she is on course to far exceed that with over $250,000 closed. Congrats, Christina. I love her example. And what Christina really did was she identified an incredible plan like we're gonna do today, and then she did the work. So nothing can replace hard work, but there is a lot to be said for a really strong strategy and a good plan. Now, if you want to skip all the noise and get directly to the good stuff like the strategy, I would like to invite you to check out the Market Authority Academy, where I'm helping agents work through this stuff in a more one-on-one aspect, really understanding their business and how these apply to their unique situation. So if that is something that you're interested in for your growth in 2022, all the links to apply are down there in the show notes. But for now, let's talk some numbers. I'm going to say the M word. We're gonna do some math. Before we get to that fun stuff though, I want to start by doing some big picture planning. So often as real estate agents, we kind of just like identify a number that feels good. So more often than not, especially if I'm working with newer agents, they come to me saying, well, I really wanna hit 6 figures. I wanna hit $100,000 in commissions this year. Okay, cool. That's one goal, but if we can attach a why and some feeling to that goal, it's actually going to be a lot easier to stay committed to the day-to-day actions that are going to yield those results. So let's do some big picture planning. You're going to have to excuse my handwriting. I was definitely born for the digital age. But some questions that we're going to ask ourselves in big picture, nothing crazy here. What I really want you to identify is what worked, what didn't, and what is coming in 2022. Okay, so 2021, what worked? You should be gathering your metrics at this point, right? So understanding how many leads you generated, how many deals you closed, how long it took you to close those deals. This is your maturation rate. So how many days from generating the lead to closing the client on average is that per lead source? You also want to know your conversion rates, stuff like that. We're going to dive into a little more detailed on the metrics that you should be monitoring. So if you already struggle with that, just hang in with me here. But you really want to get a sense of like your body of work, the scope of work that you accomplished or are projected to accomplish in 2021, and figure out what worked and what didn't. Now, I have a video coming up that's actually going to be really good to help you walk through this on how to pivot your real estate business. That is coming up soon. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel and hit that bell notification icon to be notified when we drop that video for you coming up. So you also want to identify what's on the horizon for you in 2022. Do you plan to grow your family? Do you plan to add more towards your retirement or maybe buy a new house? Or are there some really big changes either in the market or in your own personal business that you are looking towards? So on Instagram, I got a great question from Realtor Valerie, realtor.valerie on Instagram. Thank you for this awesome question. She said, hey, basically I've been in the business for about 6 months. The broker situation, it's not working for me. I'm feeling like I need to make a move. Is this normal? It's totally normal for any real estate agent to be wondering whether or not their broker is a good fit for them. And this is something that you need to be planning, because it's not always just about the numbers. If there is going to be a big shift that's going to impact your day-to-day business, sometimes like changing brokerages might impact your business. It will certainly impact your splits more often than not. You're going to want to make sure that you are planning for that so that you can account for any of those changes before they kind of blindside you down the way. So once you have that out of the way, we can start talking numbers, and we're going to start with income. This is actually something that's really misunderstood, especially by newer agents. So I actually want to walk you through a few really quick calculations on what the income needs to look like for you in terms of business planning. And to save us some time, I actually have a download for you linked below, where I have a quick sheet that's going to have all of the math that we're going to be looking at for you. So go ahead and download that and walk through this process with me just to help get you where you're going. This is located in the caption of this video, so go ahead and download this, print it out, and let's talk about it. Now, this is a very brief, small glimpse at our own business planning process that we use, not only in my personal business, but in the Market Authority Academy. And where you're going to begin with this is just doing a little bit of math. I promise this might look a little intimidating, but it's actually super simple. Just pull out a quick calculator, and you're going to do these little prompts. You're going to, number one, figure out your income goals. So this is best to do after determining your annual cost of living. Just take your average monthly expenses and multiply it by 12, and then add in any savings and investment goals you have for the year, and that is going to get your target take home. In step 2, you will take that target take home and help also determine your taxable income to make sure that you are going to meet or exceed that goal while accounting for any taxes and savings. Now, this rate is going to account for taxes and savings, like I said. So talk to your CPA to figure out what would be most appropriate here to set aside. After you determine your taxable income, you'll head on down to step 3, where you will determine your gross commission income, which means how much do you have to earn on top of your taxable earnings to account for any brokerage fees or team splits. Right? Now, there are 2 ways that you can do this. This first example is accounting for a percentage. If they take, for example, 20% off the top of your income, you're going to want to do that math here. But if you're at a 100% commission brokerage, you want to just account for any monthly transaction fees or any annual E&O fee, whatever fees you do have. Even if you are at a 100% commission brokerage, you are still going to have some kind of fees in there. So just add it on top of that target taxable earning number. And then from here, you can determine your production goals. So this is super simple. All we're doing is taking that target GCI, and we are determining using the average commission rate in your area, which you should be able to find on your MLS. You can simply divide that number by that rate and find your target sales volume. Once you determine that, you just divide that by your average sales price in the area where you are selling to get your target transactions. Once you're all good there, go ahead and add those onto this final sheet where you can print this off, like I said, and I say hang it, and where you can see it every day so that you are always clear on your goals. So if we're looking at how much income we want to make, we start with our take home, which is your savings goals, your investment goals, and then your cost of living. So a lot of times when agents are saying, well, I really want to make $100,000, hopefully they mean that as take home, and hopefully they're accounting for taxes on top of that. So that's actually what we want to accomplish here. So back to the really common example of $100,000. How much money do we actually have to generate gross commission income to take home $100,000? I'm going to walk you through this and how the math looks really quickly here. So that escalated quickly, right? In that quick example we ran through, we said that $100,000, if we wanted to earn $100,000, accounting for savings, say 20% for tax and 20% off or 10% off the top for savings, that leaves us with having to generate about $145,000 to pay those off and then take home $100K, but that's not factoring in any fees or broker splits, right? So once you have that number, Then of course we are running into adding in those broker splits, which leaves us at gross commission income of $175,000 to hopefully go home with $100,000, not including marketing costs. I know that sounds really harsh, but you want to actually be empowered by this number instead of afraid of this, because the more we have clarity on what we actually need to accomplish, the more we can create a really good plan to accomplish that and hit our goals. Okay, now this is a really good model for a newer agent or an agent who just doesn't have a lot of data to go off of. But of course, if you've been in the business for a couple of years, you know how much your usual marketing costs are. You can add those into here as well in terms of budgeting. You know how much you're wanting to save for retirement just off of what you've been able to so far, hopefully. And you also should have some pretty clear ideas on what your investment strategy is going to look like in case you are looking to acquire homes, acquire more doors just for your investment portfolio as well. All right, so how are we going to get there? Next, that leads us to step 3, our production goals, which is going to account for volume and units. So super easy to start with sales volume, but again, that download linked below is going to have this broken down for you. If we're starting with this example of wanting to generate GCI of 175, we're going to divide it by the average commission rate. Now, you should have your average commission rate if you've been tracking your metrics, okay? I will tell you right now, in most cases, it's probably not 3% because we're in a very hot seller's market and most of us are not seeing that co-broke on listings or getting it from our listings, right? So you always want to be more conservative here anyways. That's why we're going to account for a 2.5% commission, which is going to lead us to. So we need to generate about 7 million in sales volume in order at a 2.5% commission rate to take home, generate in gross revenue $175,000. This is your sales target for sales volume. Okay, so let's break it down a little further to the number of units that we need, okay? We can take this a step further and a step further and a step further. And the idea in business planning is to distill this down to your absolute daily actions. Okay, so let's talk about units. If we are accounting for an average sales price of, say, $350, this might be totally different in your neck of the woods. This is why you're doing the math. 7 million divided by 350 leaves us with 20 units. I thought I was being cute there by shortening it to U, but I'll just, for clarity, units, so that's transaction sides. And there you have it. You have your big goals identified, and it should be something to remember. These are lagging measures. Leading measures are the actions that result in these, which we're going to talk about in part 2. These are your lagging measures where at the end of 2022, if all went according to plan, in this example, you have generated 175 in GCI for a take home of $100,000, assuming you have 20% to your broker, and that is going to require sold volume of $7 million for a total of 20 units if your average sales price is $350. How do you feel about that? Does that feel a little in line with what you were expecting, or do we need to make some decisions here? If you are having a hard time stomaching paying 20% to the house and maybe not seeing a return on that value, maybe we return back to our big picture and think we got to make some decisions there. If you're not happy with your average sales price, again, maybe we need to return to that and think, how can we pivot to a higher portion of the market, which again, we're going to be covering in a video coming up. Do this math, get some clarity there. I promise it's going to set you up on a way stronger trajectory for success in 2022. And I want to hear what you come up with, what your goals are. And I'm going to hold you accountable. So in order to do that, I challenge you to share your goals publicly. I know it sounds scary, but share them publicly on the comment section of this video so we can all cheer you on along the way for success in 2022. But come back next week or come back for the next video where we're going to part 2, how we're going to make this happen. Be sure to hit subscribe to this channel and turn on that bell notification icon to be notified when that video drops. See you there.